Hi! In today's video, I'm going through a Celtic Cross Tarot spread. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Emily, founder of Lunar Pumpkin. I'm an astrologer and a tarot card reader. So, let's get started. So, I am using the Witch's Tarot deck. It's the Moonology Manifestation deck. And I'm going to possibly use a classic Ryder Waite. So let's just remove my crystals. I'm blessing these decks and asking that they be used for the highest good, and that any messages I receive are aligned with purpose and will benefit anybody who watches this and anybody who needs these messages at whatever time frame they should hear them. Thank you, universe. Thank you. So we have the Witch's Tarot. So what do we need to know? I might need to remove all these crystals. Just put them to one side so we can have the 10 card spread, which is a Celtic Cross. Let's just do that. So our first card is the central theme. The central theme is the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man asks us to see things from a different perspective. There's air within this card, as you can see. There's a crow, that's the air element. And we can see all these clouds as well. So it's very much about the thoughts and the thinking process, and how we communicate. But there's also a coin here. So how we communicate whilst also respecting any practical things that we're working on, and maybe we're rethinking how we feel about any pursuits we're working on, any of our finances and resources and any kind of earthly matters. So that's our first card. Card 2, I will use Ryder Waite. So this card will indicate any challenges towards this thing. So we have the Four of Swords. Again, we look at an Earth card here. We look at another air card. And we can see what looks like somebody's been laid to rest. And fours are all about our foundations, and our foundations and structure. And those foundations and structure, when it comes to our thoughts, it's what's, again, that thinking process. What decisions have we made? And are we secure in what we're trying to bring in? What messages we're receiving? And what we're working towards. So let's take another one of these ones. Oh, it just jumped out at me. So card 3 is the root cause of any issues that we're working on. Just lay this out a little better. So what is the cause of our change of perspective, and why we need to rethink what we're going towards? So it looks like we've got the Two of Swords, and you can see that there's a girl who's got a blindfold on, so perhaps she's not seeing the full picture of what's in front of her, what's been happening recently, or what's happening in the present moment. And she's got her arms crossed, so she's perhaps resistant to any changes or things that are going on. There's a lot of water behind her, and she's very, very reflective. I mean, there's nothing in the way of her swords. She could use them at any time to protect herself if she wanted to, but there doesn't appear to be any threat. So perhaps what's stopping her is mental blocks. And at any point, she can choose to take the blindfold off, as there are no bounds, there's nothing restricting her hands. She's free to see the bigger picture, to reveal what's ahead of her, should she want to. We also have a lot of hills, and we have a waning crescent. And if something is waning, it might be that to do with needing to be more reflective, to turn inwards, and to have a bit of a rest. Perhaps it means that she's very new to what she's been attempting, with her decisions she's making, and she needs to perhaps ask for a little bit of help, or do some meditation. But she is still free to make her own choices, and she can use that intuition to guide her for future times. So next we have the past. Is there anything from the past that we need to know about in order to guide us forward? need to move these into the centre perhaps so we can see them better. Oh, that should be that way really. Okay, so we have the Knight of Wands. And knights are very much, they're quite headstrong. He appears to be riding towards the past. And Wands are all about a fiery disposition, so he's looking at creations from the past. And he's very much protecting what has been, and he's very confident in what he's wearing. You can see with all this yellow and all the reds and oranges, suggests that he knows about how to create and how to look at what's worked. Maybe we can take some of that into the future. We'll see what comes up next. So next we have the present. What will help us in this present moment? So, in the present moment, we have the High Priest. So, let's have a look at the card. So it's actually in reverse, but in the card we can see the High Priest has keys, both the Sun and Moon. And the Sun is all about actions and being very positive and forward focused, and the Moon is about being reflective and intuitive. It's more the subconscious realm. He's wearing a lot of red, and we can see he looks like he's quite a holy figure. He's got a staff in his hand, so he's prosperous. But he appears to be within a peaceful demeanour, yet somewhat strict. There's two pillars behind him, so being within those two pillars, he appears to be in a seat of power, but also there's a lot of air and earth, so he's both grounded and free thinking. As a High Priest, he's somebody that we can turn to for advice, and to know that we can be active in our decisions, looking at both the yin side of things and the yang, taking knowledge in the present moment from both active and reflective energies. And we have that power in the present moment to do that with love and authority. I think that's beautifully strong, to know that we can be both powerful and reflective in this moment to help guide our future. So what do we have next? Next we have the future card. So what do we need to know about the future What will this tell us? So we have 3 of Wands. Oh, sorry, I just want to add one little thing. The High Priest was actually in reverse as well, so we need more focus on being our authority and on being. We need to be really aware of that and making sure we step into our power. Okay, so 3 of Wands is our card for the future, and we can see in this card that the man with his 3 wands, wands are about creativity and purpose and courage, and so having 3 of these, 3s can be about new beginnings, and also it's coming that step forward. So if we've come from, we had 2 swords and now we're coming to a 3, it's a step up, which means we're progressing in our future. And we can see a newer horizon in the distance. We can see ships on the water. So we're looking over the emotions in a grounded way, and we can see there are different paths to the future. And the future has a lovely bright sky, so it's a clear vision for the future, and he's confident about that with his red and his orange. So it's sort of the loving energy there, and creativity to pursue whatever lies ahead. So that to me is a beautiful thing. So what do we have next? So next we look to ourselves. What do we need to know about ourselves? So we have the King of Pentacles. Oh, I need to move that one somewhere. Yeah, space is a bit of a fine thing. So I'm just taking 2 cards. So the King of Pentacles, so that's mastery over the material world, our resources, and being practical. He has a pentacle in his hand, so he's holding on to wealth. He has an orb of some kind in his other hand, meaning he's quite balanced in how he holds himself, how he shines his strength into the world around him. You see all this beautiful growth with the plants, showing that it's the fruits of his labour have been well realised. So actually, as this card is for us, for ourselves, we actually have the abundance and the mastery if we tap into this. And we can see he's got a castle, so he's king of his castle. He's a master of what he owns. And there's 2 sort of bull-like figures here. So we can see that it's not just about the growth around him in respect of like plants, but animals as well. And to me that feels like the sort of Taurus energy. So he's tapping into his senses. He looks very relaxed with his eyes closed. There's no restrictions, but lots of fruit here. And there's the yellows, the reds and the greens. We've got the love and the nature, the abundance and the confidence with all of that. So we have the mastery and the confidence within us, and we need to remember that. And we can tap into the resources anytime we want. So that is a very powerful message. Wow, it's just what we need for the Cancer full moon, to know we have that power and that mastery. And we know that the King of Pentacles, he's a master of his resources. He's literally in his element. So if you were to approach him, you'd be welcomed to have those nuggets of wisdom to take positive action steps. As being a king, it's all about progression and taking action. Whereas if we look to a knight, which was for our past, and knights say that rather headstrong, and they don't have all the knowledge yet, but they know enough, but not knowing the full picture, meaning you're riding off in the wrong direction and holding on to the past and being possibly a bit too gung-ho, a bit too fierce about the past rather than looking to the future. But we have all of this beautiful guidance surrounding that as well. And if we change our perspective slightly, we'll realise that actually things are looking a lot better in the future, and we have mastery to call upon in the presence, in our spirit, and there's no obstacles here. So next we have our environment. So what do we need to know about our environment? We have the King of Swords reversed. So we get another king. So if we get lots of royals, as it were, the major arcana cards, it means we need to really take note of what's going on. They're not minor everyday things. So being a King of Swords, again we come back to the emotions, we come back to, we come back to the thinking realm of things. Although if you think too much, you can block yourself from doing things, if you know what I mean. You want to take action and think. You don't want to be just thinking and thinking and thinking, because you run that risk of anxiety and things at times. But actually with being a king, he's already at that point where he's gone through the trials and tribulations that perhaps say our Four of Swords, that challenge of foundations, and that can be more anxiety, whereas here we see a very regal looking man with lots of yellow and gold, and again lots of wealth, resources and bright skies behind him, a nice solid throne, and the sword is in the air as to say, look this is a celebration. Whereas it's not pointing forwards, it's not at anybody, he's looking forwards. So he's really looking in the present moment. And if we're mastering what we have in the environment, perhaps making connections, communicating with people who have already done the things we want to do, communicating with people who are authorities in some things we want to know, and coming back to, again, changing our perspective, because it's not possible for anybody to know everything. Our environment is here to support us if we choose. So next we have guidance. So is there some advice that we need to know? So we have the 9 of Pentacles. Wow. She's all about completion, and she's got all this Venusian energy, Venus symbols all over her gown. She looks very peaceful, all of the coins, of course. So it's all about the completion of our financial gains, our materials, and our prosperity. Again, there's lots of fruit and trees. It's all the abundance and the confidence with the yellows and the reds and the love. And a little hint to air. So she's feeling and she's thinking clearly. And I would suggest that she's very grateful. So our guidance is gratitude. We need to be grateful for all we have. And realise that we are love, and we can be loving towards nature, towards ourselves, and towards the prosperity we have and will have in the future. Wow. And lastly, what is the outcome? I'm going to use, where did I put them? I use an oracle for the outcome. It's the Moonology manifestation deck. What is the outcome if we choose to take all this advice and guidance from this Celtic Cross? What is the outcome, please? The outcome is, it's finding balance. The full moon in Libra. So the full realization and conviction of balance within how we show up in any partnerships we have, any love, any relationships, any justice. And there's lots of flowers here. So there's beauty in balance, in justice. And I'm just going to find, I've got the book here, the affirmation for the outcome, because I think that'd be a beautiful way to end this reading. So if I move cards, where are you? So, your affirmation to remind you of how to move forward from this beautiful full moon. There is love all around me. I am lovable. Wow. Wow. So love is the outcome, and showing up in a balanced way. I always suggest the love towards yourself and the love of making sure you look at a different perspective from the one you've had previously. Be grateful for what you have, and bear in mind your thought processes and your intuition. Know that actually you have all the tools you need within you to succeed.